All right, we are live. I am here. I'm Dr. Trevor Cates. I'm here with Dr. Sharon Stills, and she is one of our feature experts for the Hormones, Health, and Harmony Docuseries. So, Sharon, it's so great to see you, and it's been great to see your interview coming together in the docuseries.
It's fun to be here, and I've been so enjoying the docuseries. It's just been amazing to watch, and it's just so put together so well. I've just really been enjoying it.
Okay, yeah. Well, for those of you joining in that have not heard about the Hormones, Health, and Harmony docuseries, you don't want to miss out. You can go to hormoneseries.com to sign up. We are playing episode 8 for free right now. It is up until 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. And then we go to episode 9. So, episode 8 is honoring your lady parts. And episode 9 is Get Your Glow On. So, those are the two you can still catch for free online live right now is episode 8. So go to hormoneseries.com, put in your name and email, and then check your email inbox. You'll have a link to go and watch this for free. Each episode is up for 24 hours. So we're getting near the tail end of this. But the good news is that if people have missed it and want to have a whole series, they can buy the docu-series. So there's a way you could actually purchase it. So you'll find out about that when you sign up to watch the free episode. So, Sharon, it was really great to see you. I mean, you've been in a lot of the episodes that we've had. Do you have a favorite part from one of your from your interview?
Gosh, that's hard to say. I got some comments about my permission to have sex, ladies. So that was fun, and it was good to just be able to put that out there, because I know you're so passionate as I'm so passionate about really giving women permission to be fully in their bodies, to fully understand their bodies so they can express themselves. And we have been taught a lot of things throughout the years that just aren't true, and that have made us small rather than expanded our presence, our energy, our being, and who we are and how we step into the world. And I think this docu-series, which I highly recommend everyone purchase if you haven't, because there's so much in it, and you can just one thing that one person says, and there's so many things that so many people say, can really change your life. And there's a lot to digest in there. And so it's something, to me, that you're going to want to keep listening to over and over. And as we grow and as we get ourselves balanced, we kind of get to a new level, and then we take on something new. And so it's just been really powerful, even for me as a physician who has gone on my own hormonal journey, taken thousands and thousands of women on their successful hormone journeys. I still watch it and I'm like, oh, that's so true. Or, oh, yeah, I got to remember that next time. So there's something for everyone.
Yeah, it's true. And we really tried to address the wide range of ages and stages of women's lives because we feel that this is important, right, for every age and every stage. And I think a lot of times women don't talk about hormones until they're starting to go through menopause. And they're like, oh, wait, I've got to pay attention to my hormones. But I want women to start talking about this early on. I want, like, my youngest is 15, and I know some of the episodes she's been kind of like watching over my shoulder and and kind of leaning in, like, oh, that's interesting, I didn't know that, mom. And
Mhm.
some of the things are eye-opening for a lot of women. And so we want, from early on all the way, whatever stage you're in, to be able to gain something from this so that these transitions can be easier. And also, so when you have symptoms, you don't just think, oh, that's just part of being a woman. That understanding that your symptoms are a sign that your body is giving you that to pay attention. Something isn't right. So painful periods, PMS, moodiness, hot flashes, night sweats. I mean, they are common, but they're not something we have to suffer through. That there are natural solutions for all of these things.
Exactly. Well, and you and I are both naturopathic physicians, so we know we live by prevention. And so it is so important and so much easier if we pregame our hormones and we start thinking about this. Because in my own personal story, I talk about how I was like the PMS nightmare. It was just horrible. And I suffered like that for many years until I went to medical school and started figuring out things on my own. And it doesn't have to be that way. And because I was fortunate enough to be in the position where I was treating women and involved in natural medicine, I was able to handle my own premenstrual symptoms. And then when I went through menopause, I didn't have any symptoms, none. I never had a hot flash. And so it's not because I'm anyone special or anything. It's just because I handled them ahead of time. So when I went through menopause, I had already balanced my hormones. And so menopause was this beautiful time for me. And I didn't have to suffer. And so no one should have to suffer. And if we do, like for the women who are watching, share it with your children, your nieces, your granddaughters, whatever age you are, because women should have this knowledge. And even if a girl is not suffering with her period, she should have that in her mind that if I start to get symptoms are sacred messengers. They're trying to tell me something that's out of balance. It's the body's way of speaking to me, and that I can find a natural doctor who can help me get rebalanced so I don't have to have these symptoms. They should know, just like you said, they should know that laying in bed for 3 days with cramps or being so bloated or wanting to chew everyone's head off is not normal. It's just your body's way of telling you something's out of balance. And if we can really get this out there, the docuseries has this amazing power to just shift the whole realm and the whole field of women's health and to empower women to be healthier. And when we're healthier, we can contribute more, we can be in our passions more, we can enjoy our relationships more. So it doesn't only change our own physical health, but it changes our relationships, it changes our interactions, it changes our gifts and how we contribute to the world. And so it gets me so excited because I'm like, this docuseries can just have such a huge positive ripple effect across the globe.
Yeah, yeah, no, I completely agree. And so with episode 8 that's people can still watch right now, we talk about, honoring your lady parts and how there are a lot of things that we weren't taught in sex ed class that we wish we'd been taught. And I'm sure you remember that question being asked of you. That was one of my favorite questions that we asked women that or all the people that we interviewed in the docu series. I interviewed over 50 people for this, and it was really interesting to hear what people say. And Dr. Carrie Jones talks about how her sex ed class was taught by the football coach. And and so it wasn't exactly her best intro into learning about the woman's body.
I don't even I was kind of a troubled child, so I used to skip out of school all the time. So I don't even remember my sex ed class. Either it didn't happen or I didn't show up for it. But I'm sure I didn't miss much. Maybe they had. I mean, back in my day, I think they took out the banana and put the condom on it and kind of showed you and handed out some free condoms. And I think that was the extent of it. And it's funny because and I haven't gotten to watch episode 8 yet. It is on my to-do list. I lie in bed and watch them every day and I love them. And I'm kind of sad they're ending because I'm like, what am I going to do now? but I had a patient yesterday and I prescribe a lot of bioidentical hormones, and I have patients apply them to the external labia because that's mucosal tissue and that's where we get the best absorption and we don't get dermal fatigue. And she was probably about my age, 54. And we were having this conversation about where the external labia is. And she was like, wow, I must have missed this message in sex ed. And I was like, no, I don't think you missed any message. I don't think the message was given. And it's so telling to me because when I do prescribe, we have a vaginal picture that we give to patients, because what I have found over the years is when I just assumed in the beginning that women knew where their external labia was, and I've been prescribing for 20 years. So this was really even before a lot of internet where you could do a little Google search. I was just assuming, and I learned very quickly that women had no idea because most women have never even really looked at their vaginal canal. And I know when I was in clinic and doing my training and we were doing pap smears, we would give women a mirror, and we would have her look at her vagina and look at the canal and the folds and the beauty of it, and just get intimate with her own parts, because most women have never even looked. And some women aren't even comfortable saying vagina. It's like down there or that place, or, you know. So it's really important that we be okay with that, and we learn and we know our anatomy, and then we can be empowered to actually know where our labia is and what the vaginal canal is and all of these important things. And so we've missed out a lot. And so, but it's never too late. And so here's this opportunity to watch the docuseries, to get educated. And I don't care if you're 50 or 60 or 80 or 100, if you've never seen your external labia, like today can be that day, and we can just
Yeah.
start today. There's always an opportunity. It's never too late.
And I think it is important for us to know our bodies, for various reasons. And a lot of times, what we're taught in ed class, if we even get that, is just a diagram, a drawing, and it's not 3D. It's not, like, you don't really understand, and it's just very, very basic. If you even got that, so actually getting a mirror and seeing what is there is very educational, especially when it comes to, gosh, if you're gonna have a baby, like if you're in labor and delivery and then what comes afterwards and trying to figure out if something is not quite right, like being able to explain to your doctor, "Hey, something is going on here, and I don't know what part this is."
Exactly.
That can be really helpful to know so you can communicate with your doctor. And then also, doing things like applying creams and stuff like that, being able to understand what that is. And I think it's just an important thing for us to know, and it's okay. Like, it's almost like we need a little permission to be able to do that, and it's not like it's, some sort of weird thing, but it's just anatomy. It's just your body. It's like, I always tell people, look at your skin really carefully, because your skin is gonna give you information about your health. And so if you don't look at your body on a regular basis, you don't know when something changes. Yeah.
Exactly. It's our responsibility to become intimate with all the parts of our body, the intimate parts of our body, and, the nose and everything. It's all important. It all gives us information. And
Right.
so, and
And
I think also our breasts, we
mhm.
we don't really pay a lot of attention to our breasts, and we kind of, if we're just in the mainstream realm, then we just go get a mammogram and get our breasts squeezed and tortured. And that's kind of the extent of it. And so I think it's really important that we learn to do self breast exams,
Mhm.
because we live in our bodies. So yes, I'm a doctor. Dr. Trev is a doctor. We can help you, but you're going to know your body better than anyone, because you're inhabiting it 24/7. And so a lot of women will find, if they practice self breast exams, they will then actually find a lump or find something that's concerning. And so I think, and doing breast massage, because the breasts are so full of lymphatics, and lymphatic stagnation is a huge problem and a leading cause of breast cancer developing. So getting comfortable with touching your breasts and massaging your breasts and checking your breasts, I think, is another also really important piece to being comfortable with who you are as a woman. And like, we're us women are awesome. We get these awesome bodies. We need to enjoy them and love them.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the first point is to know our bodies for our own health and for us. And then also, when we understand our bodies, we can enjoy our intimacy even more with our partner. And so when we know where things are and what's normal for us and what feels good, then that also can help with our relationships with our partner.
Exactly. We gotta know thyself. It's like physician, heal thyself. Patient, know thyself. You have to know thyself first to really be able to be engaged in pleasure, in your healthcare, in owning a body.
Yeah. Okay. So I've gotten some questions I'd love to run by you from people that have watched the docu series. And so just a couple of things. One is, I know that you do bioidentical hormones, and so we're getting a lot of questions about bioidentical hormones. And do like one of them is it really kind of surprised me is, do I even really need them? Like there are some women say like I'm in my 50s, and I feel great. I don't do I have to have bioidentical hormones? Or can I just keep doing like healthy eating and taking some herbs and things like that?
So I think that's a great question because there are women who just feel great and they're in their 50s. And so I don't think there's ever everyone needs everything, but I am pretty passionate about bioidentical hormones because I like to remind the listeners that they're not just for treating symptoms. So you don't just take hormones to get you through that hoop of when you're having hot flashes or you're not sleeping and then that goes away and subsides and then you stop your hormones. To me, bioidentical hormones are this really important tool and piece we can use for aging gracefully and for living longer and quality, not only quantity. And so I like to think about the fact of how bioidentical hormones help prevent osteoporosis. They help prevent Alzheimer's. They help prevent cardiovascular disease. Surprise, surprise, they help prevent breast cancer. They do not cause breast cancer. They help with mood. They help with skin. They help with weight. They help with so many diabetes and blood sugar control. So they help with all of these chronic illnesses that we want to avoid. And so from that perspective, I think it is a good tool to discuss with your physician because I have this not a ton of times because unfortunately, usually when patients come, they're suffering. But I do get sometimes patients who feel great and they want to keep feeling great. And they're like, well, I don't really need hormones. I'm not having hot flashes. And then it becomes this education of, well, do you want to really protect your brain? Because you can feel great and eat great, but nothing is going to really replace estrogen and protecting your brain and protecting your memory and preventing plaque formation and things of that nature. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, these all help to build healthy bones. And so I think, I mean, I know me personally, like my hormones are coming with me till the end. And I'm a perfect example because I was not suffering. I was not having sleep issues. I was not having hot flashes, not having any of these symptoms, so to say, of menopause, but I'm in it for the long run. My plan is to be 130 and I want to get there with strong bones and a healthy brain and a happy body. And to me, my hormones, my bioidentical hormones, always hormones are always bioidentical when at least when I'm talking about them and when we're talking about them on the docuseries. And so I think they are key and really important.
Yeah. Okay, so for those of you joining us, we're talking about, Dr. Sharon is on the Hormones, Health, and Harmony docu-series, and we're talking about bioidentical hormones. And I think Sharon, you made some really, really great points about bioidentical hormones and how they can play a role, and I also feel that a lot of times people know how good they can feel, because I think a lot of times we're going along and we're starting to have symptoms we don't even realize are there, or we're starting to be a little bit fatigued, a little bit less drive. Maybe we're not even really that interested in sex anymore just because the hormones aren't really there. And then you start optimizing and getting people like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that was possible at my age. And so I think there's a little bit of that too. But of course, it's always a very personal decision. Like you said, everyone is unique. So if someone doesn't want bioidentical hormones, it's certainly up to them. But I do think I wouldn't just dismiss it because you don't have symptoms. I would say, let's look at this and say, hey, maybe there are some other things to look at, like prevention. What are we preventing? What diseases are we preventing? Because the fact of the matter is we are living longer than our society continues as time goes by, and we have more interventions and technology and cushier lives and all of that. We are living longer. So we want our quality of lives to keep up with that. And so that's why bioidentical hormones are so great. So since we have people here that may not be signed up for the docu-series yet, or maybe missed some of the episode or the episodes where we really dove into talking about what bioidentical hormones are, can you give a brief description of what are bioidentical hormones and how they're different than things like synthetic hormones like Premarin and Provera, progestin. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're apple and oranging it. They're totally different. Bioidentical pretty much tells you in the word they are biologically identical to what we naturally produce. And so all the side effects you hear about, all the dangerous or scary things, those are always the synthetic hormones that are pharmaceuticals that are coming, for example, from pregnant mare urine. So that's horse urine, has no place in our body. When we ingest something like that, the molecular structure is very different than what we produce. So our body is like, huh? I don't understand what this is. And it starts having a lot of side effects, doesn't lock into the cellular receptor sites like it should. So bioidentical is identical to what we produce. And we're not talking about, at least I'm not talking about trying to bring you back to when you were 18. We don't have to have these supra physiological doses. Just nice physiological, subphysiological low doses can be a real game changer. And so they're all natural. They're produced by a compounding pharmacy. So you do want to make sure you're working with someone who is trained in this, understands it, made it their specialty, because a lot of people can claim that they're practicing hormones and then they can mislead you. So if you don't feel like you're getting the results you want, if you're not being monitored properly, just look for someone else. There's plenty of doctors out there who do understand and do know what they're doing. And once my hormone patients, once I do their case and get them on what they need to be on and do a clinical check-in, typically they get monitored with 24-hour urine, and I also do full blood work. And sometimes it's just once a year because they're balanced, and they know if they're out of balance, they know to call because they'll probably need a tweak in something, but it doesn't have to be this big giant thing. Once you get balanced, and of course, practice the other healthcare activities such as sleeping and eating and moving your body and making sure your liver is working and your lymphatic system and your gut. So hormones have to be in the big context of taking care of your body and following a natural type of lifestyle. On bioidentical hormones, we always think of estrogen. So a common one we use is biestrogen, which is mainly estriol, which is E3, which is a very protective estrogen. I use it to prevent relapses, to prevent occurrences of breast cancer. So it's stimulating the beta receptors, which are inhibitory, not proliferative, like the alpha receptors. So it's very safe. It's one of those misconceptions. And Biest also has some estradiol in it because typically estradiol, you need a little. It helps control some of the symptoms, helps with bone growth and stuff. So we formulate that. Some of my patients are on different than 80-20. It depends because everyone is individualized. We have progesterone, we have testosterone, we have DHEA, we have pregnenolone, we have bioidentical thyroid hormone. You can get bioidentical aldosterone, bioidentical cortisol if your adrenals are out. So there's lots of different hormones, and it's my opinion that hormones are a symphony. And so you don't want to just take estrogen, or you don't just want to you want to have someone who's conducting for you, a physician who is going to have all the pieces in place, because that's how we get harmony.
Yeah. Okay. And Dr. Sharon, I know you need to get back to clinic soon. And I know people have been asking us who in the docuseries is still seeing patients. And I know that you do see patients. So it's just so you guys know. And then there is a question here. Thank you all for posting. Thank you, Jan, for checking in. And Shannon says she's loving the docuseries. And Shannon also asked, can you talk about Vitex? It's something they recommended at the health food store for imbalanced hormones. What do you think about Vitex?
So Vitex is a nice herb, and it helps to stimulate progesterone production. And so sometimes it'll be prescribed. I just have to say, I don't recommend getting your hormone advice at the health food store.
Right. Let's just start there. Okay.
So I do recommend seeing a naturopathic physician who's been trained in this, because hormones are serious business. But yeah, it can be used if you're having PMS and you need some progesterone production. I think you really have to go back. I'm always root cause in it. Why aren't you producing the progesterone? Is there a thyroid issue? Is there a toxicity issue? Is there a gut? What's going on? But I mean, I like herbs, and so I don't have anything against Vitex. I've prescribed it. I just personally have found, as I've been practicing now over 20 years, believe it or not, as of you, right?
Right.
It's kind of weird when you say that. That I just tend to go for the bioidenticals more often than not because they just work so great. And I'm like, why should someone suffer, take Vitex for a year and maybe not even get the results when I can give them some bioidentical progesterone? Why, while balancing the rest of the system, and they can feel better in a cycle or two. So
Right,
that's my
and it also depends on where they are in, like, perimenopausal to menopausal, and so, if someone hasn't hit menopause yet, but something like Vitex, from my experience, is gonna work better, right? So, once, you get to menopause and you're no longer having a period, your ovaries aren't gonna be you're not gonna be able to kick your ovaries into gear as well, or not really. So, doing bioidentical hormones is really gonna be a much better option. Deborah says she also is loving this series. Thank you. So Sharon, I know you need to head out to go see patients. Can you just tell everybody where they can learn more about you?
My website, drstills.com. I'm on Instagram, I'm pretty much just Dr. Sharon Stills. If you put that in, you find me on the places I hang out.
Great, great. And then for those of you just joining in, Dr. Sharon Stills is one of our experts for the Hormones, Health, and Harmony Docuseries. We still have a few more episodes that you can catch at hormoneseries.com. Go there and register. And if you want to just go ahead and buy the whole docuseries, it's now available for purchase. So you can go there and find out more about it. Again, thank you so much for joining me, Sharon.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everyone. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us.